should you pull for Strago?
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Strago is a magic attacker slash breaker. His notable attacks are Soul of Tamasa is a buff, and with that buff all attacks hit twice. His skill 2 is Brave to Death. 2 AoE HP dump. If the current brave number is even, it inflicts AoE break. If inflicting break or attacking a broken target, it grants Soul of Tamasa for 2 turns. Okay, let me stop this. Saber Soul, his EX, it is 4 AoE HP dumps. It grants Soul of Tamasa for 2 turns, and it gives 1 free ability use. Grand Delta, his LD, is 2 AoE HP dumps. It cancels the enemy's break, and it also inflicts AoE break. It grants Soul of Tamasa for 2 turns, and it also gives 1 free ability use. Burning 1000 Needles, his FR, it has a special effect to where if someone is inflicting break or attacking a broken target, both their HP damage cap up and their max brave cap up are risen by 50%. His force time gives 20% if someone is using a magic attack, 40% if they are inflicting break or attacking a broken target, and a final 20% if Strago is the one inflicting break or attacking a broken target. Some pros for Strago is he's great for magic teams. If you are looking for a good unit to fit into a magic only team, you wanted to play around with that a little bit, I think Strago will be a great fit for that. His FR is effect as fantastic for HP cap ups. Again, 90% of the time when you're playing the game and you're hitting the boss, they're probably going to be broken. So having a huge HP cap up like that most of the time is going to help your team's damage a lot. And because of that, if you also include good support in your team, you're going to have a pretty high damage ceiling with him. Another pro is he has very consistent AoE rebreaking. Apart from Aranea, who in this game isn't the strongest anymore, there isn't really another unit in the game who can consistently break a group of enemies. Strago can, and the great thing with him is even if the enemy's brave is extraordinarily high, say 150,000 brave, Strago doesn't really care about that. His moves break regardless. Next, the force conditions are consistent. When Strago hits an attack, it's going to be an easy 80%, but if any other magic user in the team attacks, you're still going to get 60%, which is not horrible at any stretch of the imagination. And last but not least, this is probably the most important pro in Strago's kit. He has a badass FR name, Burning 1000 Needles. That sounds like some demonic Bahamut sin satanic move. And as someone who grew up in a very Christian family, I find that name to be hella cool. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get to some cons. First things first, his damage as an attacker is pretty mid, I'm not gonna lie. Even with his Soul of Thamasa, which doubles all of his attacks, it still is not up to par with many DPS units out right now. The hardest you're gonna be hitting is 8 AoE HP dumps, and while that is fantastic, many units already deal that amount of damage, and more consistently in a lot of times. Second off, his breaking, as good as it is, it's nerfed by weird RNG. With his skill 2, it doesn't automatically break. Strago's current brave before he does the move has to be an even number, or it's not gonna break at all. I don't understand why they did that. If you're gonna make him a breaker, might as well just make his skill 2 just break every time. I don't understand why it has to be an even number. Usually when RNG is added into a kit, I really don't like it, so adding a caveat that his brave number has to be even is just really weird and unnecessary to me. Furthermore, his FR conditions don't really complement his HP damage up. Strago's FR when he moves is a pretty good 80%. However, when someone else other than him doesn't attack, the best you're gonna get is a 60% increase. That's not that high in today's standards, and it's weird because to get the most amount of power from Strago's FR, most of the turns will have to be from Strago himself. Even though you have an HP damage cap up, the force numbers don't really complement it. Going off of that, none of his moves have high turn rate. Neither his skill 1, skill 2, EX, or LD, or FR have any sort of high turn rate. I felt if you added a little bit of high turn rate into Strago's kit, it would have given him more opportunity to take more turns, and because of that, he'll be able to up the force numbers that much higher. In my opinion, the fact that he still moves normally, it doesn't complement his FR either. And furthermore, without having a BT, he has no burst phase to fully optimize his force numbers. Again, the only way his force can be consistent with that of higher caliber force weapons is that if he moves himself, because that's when the numbers are going to tick the highest. But without a burst phase, when only he moves, yeah, you're never really going to get the bang for your buck with Strago's FR. With a BT and a burst phase, even if the BT really didn't give it any new effects, I still think Strago would have been a good unit because having a lot more turns and having a 6-turn phase by yourself would help Strago's FR be that much more powerful. And last but not least, without his buff Soul of Thamasa, he straight up sucks. He's just not good. His damage is terrible, his breaking isn't nearly as good, and and if his buff ever gets dispelled or he runs out of Soul of Thamasas, he's just going to be straight up dead weight for your team. You really have to know what you're doing in order to get the best usage out of him. So if you're going in this banner blind and you were expecting him to just break and deal damage out the wazoo, I would heavily recommend doing more research into how he exactly works. My should you pull rating for Strago, I'm going to give him a generous B+. I think if you know how to use him well and you know exactly what teams he works best in, he's going to do wonders. However, for me, his mechanics are too niche and too weird and fairly contradictory to each other to the point where I can't really recommend Strago as a go-to unit to use. So that's my should you pull video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye!